Hi everyone, welcome to Jairam High Secondary School online classes. This is a video from Class 8 Biology, Unit 8 Organization of Life. So children, what is life? So life is nothing but living. So living, we know very well, biology itself is the study of living organisms. Bio means living and logy means study. So study of living organisms is biology. Okay, so in our earth we have two different categories, living things and non-living things. So we know the living things, they have the ability to respire, digest, excrete and reproduce and all other metabolic functions. Okay, whereas the non-living things, on the contradictory, it does not do these metabolic functions. So like we have natural non-living things and artificial non-living things. So in this lesson we are going to know how the life has been organized, how the body of the human beings or other animals have been organized, how the life forms have been formed. Okay, so these are the learning objectives of this lesson. So what do you mean by learning objectives? So before the start of any lesson, we should know what are the things we are going to study from that lesson. So that is learning objectives. So from this lesson we are going to learn or understand the different levels of organization seen in animals. So life is not as simple as we look, so it is very much complicated. Okay, so the living organisms, the organization of our human body or organization of an animal body is not that much simple, it is very much complicated. So we are going to see the different levels of organization of animals. Okay, and we are going to know about the cells and tissues, and we are going to study about the structure of human eye, which is at the organ level, and we are going to study the respiratory system in detail, which is at the organ system level. And then we are going to study about the metabolic functions, which is mainly necessary for the normal functioning of all the animals, such as homeostasis, diffusion, osmosis, osmoregulation, cellular respiration and metabolism. So these are all the things we are going to study from this lesson. So at the end of the lesson we will have a detailed knowledge of all these things. Okay, now let's get into the lesson. Introduction. So the animals which we see, which is present around us, does not look similar. So you can just see, children, does a dog and cat look similar? Does a human and dog look similar? No, they exhibit different variations. Okay, likewise we know very well the microorganisms which are a part of living things. So microorganisms, these are very minute, which we cannot see with our naked eye. So these microorganisms can be seen only with the help of microscope. So such organisms, they are very small in size, even though it cannot be seen with our naked eye. But on the other hand, if you see blue whale and elephants, these are very huge in size. So you can compare and see the size of an amoeba and a blue whale, but both are included under living things only. Okay, so there exhibits a difference in all the living organisms. So these differences are called as variations. So variations are nothing but these are differences seen in different animals. Okay, so these variations are not only seen in size. Okay, so here we have compared the size of an amoeba and blue whale, but even though the size is different and the complexity of their cells, tissues and the body structure and the metabolic functions, everything differs. So each living organism has its own individuality, has its own size, structure, form and metabolic functions. So living organisms do not look similar, do not perform the same kind of functions and do not have the same characteristics. So each living organisms vary in their form, shape, size, structure and complexity of organizations, and then their metabolic functions. So these kind of variations, how it is occurring, so that only we are going to see in this lesson. Okay, so here you can see the different levels of organization. So as it is, if you take an example of any animal, the animal is not formed, the whole body of the animal is not formed as such. Okay, it involves the different stages before the organization of an animal. Okay, it starts from this cell, so the basic unit of all living organisms. So if we see in our body, in our human body also, we contain many cells, okay, multicellular. So each and every cell has its own structure and function, okay. So the basic unit of living organisms is nothing but the cell. So cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. So if we take the example of a single-celled organism, the cell itself represents the whole organism, or the single cell performs all the vital functions of the organism. But if we take an example of a multicellular organism, different cells combine together to perform a similar function, so that is nothing but the tissues. And different tissues, they combine to form organ, and the organs, they form the organ system, and organ system forms the whole organism. Like example, in human beings, we can take an example of any one system, okay. So here, suppose you consider this cell as the lung cell, okay. So the lung cell, which is respiratory system, is very much concerned with the breathing process, taking in air, that is oxygen, and giving out carbon dioxide. So respiration is a process which is mainly needed for all living organisms for their survival, okay. So for respiration happen, we need a special organ called lungs. Suppose you considered this cell as a lung cell. So number of lung cells by the process of mitosis. So mitosis is nothing but it's a process of cell division, where a single cell will be dividing into two equal cells. So that is called as mitosis. So through the process of mitosis, the single cell will be forming many cells, and these many cells, which are similar in their shape and structure, so they combine together to form a particular tissue. So here we have taken the example of a lung cell. So here the lung tissue is formed. So different kinds of lung tissues, they combine together to form an organ called as lungs, okay. So lung is an organ. So we know very well, in human beings we have two lungs located on either side of our chest cavity. So lung is a single organ. So here lung cells, lung tissue, and lung organ has been formed. Likewise, they have alveoli or bronchi and bronchioles and windpipe. So these are all the parts of respiratory system. These are all separate organs. So different types of organs like windpipe or trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, and lungs, these together to form the organ system, which is nothing but respiratory system. So this whole respiratory system performs the functions of respiration. Like respiratory system, we have other systems too, like digestive system, excretory system, circulatory system, nervous system, skeletal system, etc. Okay, so these kind of systems together make up the whole organism. Okay, I think now you're clear how a human body has been organized. Okay, so cell is the basic unit. Cells form tissues, cells together to form tissues, and tissues form organ, and organ form organ system, and organ system form organism. So this is the level of organization. So here you can see the sequence of organization of life as starts from cell, tissue, organ, organ system, and organism. So this is the different level of organization. So we are going to see about each level of organization in detail in this forthcoming slides. Okay, now organization of cells and tissues. You know very well, cell is the structural and functional unit of living organisms, and cells are the building blocks of life. So without cells, no living organisms is formed. Okay, so cells are like the building blocks of life. Like how for building a building we need bricks for building a wall, likewise like bricks, these cells are formed together to form our whole human structure or body of any living organism. So cells, these are the building blocks of life. So cells are the structural and functional unit of living organisms. So according to the number of cells, the organisms has been divided as unicellular and multicellular. So unicellular, uni means single and multi means many. So unicellular organisms contains only a single cell. Here the single cell will perform all the vital functions of the organism. Like vital functions means which are needed for its survival, which are needed for its life. Okay. like respiration, digestion, excretion. These are the vital functions of an organism. Here the single cell itself perform all the functions of the cell, and the single cell itself is representing the whole organism. ஒரே single cell தான் அந்த organism-ஏ, அதுதான் அந்த unicellular organism. So the single cell is representing the whole organism. For example, amoeba, yeast and bacteria. So amoeba, you know, it is a unicellular organism and it is a kind of protozoan, and yeast is a unicellular fungi, and bacteria is a class of microorganisms. So these are different groups of microorganisms. These normally they cannot be seen with our naked eye, and they can be viewed only with the help of a microscope. Since they are single cell, their size is very much low and it is measured in terms of microns. Okay, so these kind of unicellular organisms can be seen only under the microscope. So these organisms which contain a single cell, it is called unicellular organisms, whereas multicellular organisms are made up of many cells or the group of cells. So as I said earlier, the group of cells, they combine to perform a similar function. They form the tissues, and tissues together to form organs, and organs together form organ system, and organ systems, they all combine together to perform all the life activities of the organism. For example, multicellular organism, we can say the example of all plants and animals and human beings. So our human body is made up of millions and trillions of cells. So we are categorized as multicellular organisms. So plants, animals and human beings are classified as multicellular organisms. So I said here yeast is an example of unicellular fungi, whereas mushroom is an example of a multicellular fungi. So in fungi category we have a multicellular organism called mushroom. Okay, so this is all about the unicellular and multicellular organisms. So based upon the number of cells, the living organisms has been categorized as unicellular and multicellular. Next, based upon the presence or absence of nucleus. So children, you know very well, you have read in the previous classes about the structure of a cell. So cell contains an outer membrane called cell membrane or plasma membrane. Inside you can see the cytoplasm, which is jelly like substance, where you can see the different types of cell organelles like mitochondria, ribosomes, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, centrioles, chloroplasts. These are all floating on the cytoplasm, and you can see a centralized part called nucleus, which is nothing but the control center of the cell. So nucleus is the thing which gives instruction to the cells for its all activities, and also the nucleus contains the genetic material called DNA or RNA, which is mainly responsible for the inheritance of characters from one generation to the next generation. So without nucleus there is no cell. So nucleus is needed for a cell to perform its activities. So nucleus is like the control center of the cell. So based upon that, they have classified the organisms as prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So pro means what? Pro means it's false, and karyon represents the nucleus. So karyon means nucleus. So prokaryotes. Here there is no true nucleus. Actually, without nucleus the cell will not do any function. But here the nucleus is not present in its full-fledged form. That is, nucleus is not present with the well-developed nuclear membrane or nucleolus, but it is present in the form of a nucleoid. So nucleus is not completely absent. Nucleus is present, but it is not well organized. It is present in the form of a nucleoid. So nucleoid contains only the genetic material, but it does not contain a definite nuclear membrane or nucleolus. So nucleolus is the control center of nucleus. It gives instruction for the nucleus. So it does not contain nucleolus or nuclear membrane, but it is present in the form of a nucleoid. So nucleoid, there is no true nucleus. So pro, false, karyon, nucleus. So false nucleus. So the organisms which do not have a definite nuclear membrane, but nucleoid is present, but the genetic material is present. So these kind of cells are called prokaryotes. These kind of organisms are called as prokaryotes. And also in prokaryotes there is no cell organelles. So cell organelles are of different types such as mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, and endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, etc. So these kind of cell organelles are not present in prokaryotic organisms. For example, you can say the bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasma. So here in the picture you can see the example of a typical bacterial cell. So here the cell has an outer cell wall called cell membrane on cell wall, and addition to that, it has a slimy layer called capsule, which is mainly meant for its protection. And here you can see some ribosomes are floated here, and it has a flagella for its locomotion, for its movement from one place to another place. You know, the movement is very much necessary for its food, shelter, and then protecting from its enemies. Okay, and here you can see the central part only nucleoid. There is no nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope promptly present here. There is only nucleoid present. So this represents the prokaryotic cell. This is an example of a bacterial cell. So this is called prokaryotes. So prokaryotes, there is no true nucleus, no cell organelles. An example, bacteria, cyanobacteria, and mycoplasma. This is prokaryotes. So on the contradictory, you can see eukaryotes. So eu means true, karyon means nucleus. So it contains true nucleus. So the cell organelles are also present in eukaryotes. For example, all kinds of plants and animals are included under eukaryotes. So in eukaryotes, you can see the outer structure called cell membrane or plasma membrane. In addition, in plant cells, it contains an additional layer called cell wall, whereas cell wall is absent in case of animal cells. And inside you can see the cytoplasm with the number of cell organelles, and here you can see the nucleus with well-defined nuclear membrane and nucleolus. So this is called a eukaryotic cell. It contains a true nucleus and all the cell organelles are present. So this is an example of an eukaryotes. So based upon the number of cells, the organisms has been divided into unicellular and multicellular, and based upon the presence or absence of well-defined nucleus, it is classified as prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Next, coming to the structure of a cell. So you know very well, cells are the structural and functional unit of life. Cells are the building blocks of a living organism. So cells is the basic unit of life. Okay, and the study of cells is called cell biology. So cell biology is a branch of science which deals with the study of cells. So coming to the structure of cell, all other cells has an outer covering called cell membrane, or otherwise it is called plasma membrane. And inside the plasma, and you know the plasma membrane is mainly meant for protecting the inner components of the cell, and the main function of plasma membrane is for protection, and also another function of plasma membrane is transportation of substances between the cells. Okay, so inside you can see a protoplasm. The protoplasm is nothing but it is made up of nucleus and cytoplasm. So nucleus plus cytoplasm contribute to the protoplasm, which is the living component of the cell. Since it is doing all the living functions, all the metabolic functions, it is in a living condition. So protoplasm is the living component of the cell. So all the functions of mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes are all done in this protoplasm. Since it is in a living condition, the protoplasm is the living component of the cell. And in the cytoplasm you can see the proteins and nucleus, and also all other cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, centrioles, ribosomes, and lysosomes. So these are some kind of cell organelles present in a cell, and there may be some slight differences in plant cell and animal cell. Whereas if you see in case of plant cell, in addition to plasma membrane, you have a additional layer called cell wall, which is made up of cellulose, mainly for protection of the plant cells. And also the plant cells have chloroplast, and the chloroplast which is mainly responsible for the green coloration of the plants, and also it contains a chlorophyll which is mainly meant for the absorption of sunlight necessary for photosynthesis process. So photosynthesis is a process of preparation of plant food. Okay, so for photosynthesis to happen, plastids are very much important, that is chloroplast is very much important. So chloroplast are the specialized organelle present only in plant cell, whereas in case of animal cell chloroplast is absent. And also centrioles is also a kind of organelle which is present only in animal cells, which is mainly responsible for during the process of cell division. Okay, so microtubules or centrioles, these are present only in animal cells, it is absent in plant cells. So cell wall is present in plant cell and absent in animal cell, and chloroplast is present in plant cell and absent in animal cell, and centrioles are present in animal cell whereas it is absent in plant cell. Okay, So here coming to the structure of a cell, so this is a structure of an animal cell. So animal cell do not have cell wall. The outer covering of an animal cell is called a cell membrane or plasma membrane. And here you can see the center part called nucleus. Here it is marked wrong, children. Actually it is nucleolus and this is nucleus. So this is nucleus, and here the small part rounded shape in the center of the nucleus is called nucleolus. So this is nucleolus and this is nucleus. Please make it clear. Here is a small diagrammatic mistake. This is nucleus, but this is nucleolus and this is nucleus. So nucleus is the controlling part of a cell, and attached to the nucleus you can see the endoplasmic reticulum, and sometimes these ribosomes are present over the surface of the endoplasmic reticulum. If the ribosomes are present, then it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. If there is no ribosomes, then it is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so rough ER and smooth ER. And the main function of ribosomes is protein synthesis, and also it is called a protein factory of the cell. So these kind of ribosomes are present on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum, which is mainly responsible for protein synthesis. And here you can see small vesicles, Golgi vesicles or Golgi apparatus, which is mainly for packaging of substances. So for packaging of the produced substances, these Golgi vesicles are very much important. And here comes a part called lysosome. So lysosome contains the enzyme called lysozyme, which has a capacity to destroy its own cell. And suppose if the cell does anything wrong, or if any wrong process happens inside the cell, the lysosome secretes an enzyme called lysozyme, which digests the whole cell, which destroy its own cell. So lysosome is called as suicidal bags of the cell. Okay, and here comes an important part of the cell is called mitochondria. It is a double membrane organelle. So here the process of cellular respiration occurs and energy is formed. So this energy formed in mitochondria is very much useful for the metabolic functions and the functions of all other cell organelles. So here the mitochondria produces energy and it is stored in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So mitochondria, since it's producing energy, it is called as powerhouse of the cell. Okay, so mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell. And here you can see the microtubule and centrioles. As I said, these are the specialized organelle present only in animal cell, and in case of plant cell it is absent. So these microtubules and centrioles, these are involved in the process of cell division or the process of mitosis, where the whole cell will be dividing into two equal daughter cells. Okay, so that is the process of mitosis. We will be dealing with mitosis in higher classes. So for the process of mitosis, these microtubules and centrioles are present. These are specializedly present only in animal cells. So this is an example of an animal cell. So coming to shell shapes and sizes. So children, here it is given as shell shapes, but here in the next slide we will discuss about the shapes of the cell, but here you have given the size of the cell. So each cell is not measured in the same size. Each cell has a different size. Okay, so each organelle has a specific function. So based on the organelle and based on the function, the size of a cell also varies. So normally the size is measured in terms of microns. So measurement, for measuring anything you need a unit, like length, mass, for measuring length you need centimeter, meter, and for measuring mass you need kilogram. Like that, for measuring the size of a cell, it is measured in case of microns. So microns is the unit of measurement of a cell. So the size of a cell may vary from 0.5 to 20 micrometer. And the smallest cell recorded is that of the Mycobacterium, which is a causative organism of tuberculosis. Mycobacterium, it represents 0.0001 millimeter. Okay, so 0.0001 millimeter is the smallest cell size. And humans, the smallest cell is that of the RBCs, red blood cells, which is of 7 micrometer. And in humans, the largest cell is human egg or ovum, 100 micrometer. So in humans also, the largest cell measures about 100 micrometer. And in multicellular organisms, the largest cell is that of the egg of an ostrich, since it measures about 170 millimeter into 180 millimeter. So this is about the size of cell. So we'll deal with stem cell later. Before that, we'll have a look about shapes of cell. So the cells may not be looking similar since their functions also vary. The shape of the cells also vary, so cells may vary according to the shape. So these are the different shapes of the cells, such as oval or round shape, oval or round shaped cell. So here you can see from the diagram, this is an example of a ovum cell. It is round in shape. So ovum cell is the egg of a female. So this is round in cell, round in shape, ovum cell. Next, spindle shaped. So here you can see the diagram, smooth muscle cells. So smooth muscle cells is a type of cells present in muscles. So these kind of smooth muscle cells are spindle shape. Then branched shape is that of the nerve cell. So nerve cell is the functional unit of the neurons. Is a functional unit of nervous system. This is a diagram of a neuron or a nerve cell. So these neuron has branched called dendrites, and these are all branched. So the cells may also be branched as like present in nerve cell. And irregular shapes, sometimes the cells of WBC, that is white blood cells, leukocytes, may be differ in their shapes. So it may be irregular shape. And also sometimes the cells may be present with a tail. For example, the sperm cells, the sperm cells are present with the tail. The sperm cells are present with the tail. And here you can see the bone cells also, it is present as branched cell. So the cells may be round shape or oval shape and spherical shape, and it may be spindle shape, or it may be irregular shape as in WBC, or it may be branched, or it contains the tails. Okay, so these are some sizes and shapes of cells. So here comes the stem cell. So what is stem cell? So stem cell is capable of becoming more differentiated cell type. So what do you mean by differentiation? So here you can see the cell differentiation. So you know very well, for the sexual reproduction to happen, we need two different sexes, male cell and female cell. So male parent and female parent. So the male produces male gamete and it produces cell called sperm, and the female produces female cell called ovum. So the fusion of male and female cell is called as fertilization. So at the end of fertilization, the fusion of male and female cell together to forms a single cell called zygote. So zygote is a single cell. So zygote undergoes continuous mitotic divisions. So as I said already, mitosis is a process where the single cell will be dividing into two equal daughter cells. Again, the two daughter cells will be dividing into four equal daughter cells. So this how zygote is differentiated into, is divided into many cells, a group of cells. And these group of cells, which are similar in form and structure, they combine together to form tissues, and tissues form organs, and organs form organ system, and then organ system forms the fetus, human fetus. So this fetus contains many cells, and these are differ in their shape, size and content, and since there is a change in their structure and function. Okay, so this is called cell differentiation. So from zygote till the formation of fetus, the cells are differentiated. So this process is called as cell differentiated. From a single cell called zygote, the cells are differentiated to form various organs and organ systems. But here in case of stem cell, these stem cells are capable of becoming more differentiated cell type. So we can take the stem cell for curing some kind of genetic diseases also. In recent technology, there is a technology called stem cell therapy, which is mainly used for curing a variety of genetic diseases. So these kind of stem cells are naturally present in our human body to replace the damaged tissues. So it can be formed into any kind of tissues or cells. Suppose, for example, if our skin tissues are damaged, these cells can be differentiated into skin cells. Suppose our lung tissues is damaged, these stems can be differentiated into lung tissue. Suppose our kidney cells are damaged, these stem cells are differentiated into kidney cells. Likewise, these stem cells or mainly meant for the replacement of damaged tissues. This is an inbuilt thing, but this is mainly for built-in repair mechanism. Okay, so for repairing of any other worn out tissues in our body or the repair of damaged tissues, these stem cells can be differentiated into any form of cells type. So this technology, we are using it in the form of stem therapy to cure various kinds of diseases. So this is called stem cell. Okay, so this is all about cell and cell differentiation. So next, coming to tissues, here the group of cells which are similar in structure and they act together to perform a specific function called tissues. So tissues are nothing but group of cells combined together to perform a specific function. It is called as tissues. Okay, so tissues, based upon the type of cells, it is classified as simple tissue and complex tissue. So simple tissue, if the cells are of same types, it is called simple tissue. It is otherwise called as homogeneous type of cells. Homo means same, so same type of cells is called a simple tissue or otherwise complex tissue. Here the cells are of different types, heterogeneous. So if it is containing different types of cells, it is called complex tissue. If it contains same types of cells, it is called simple tissue. So tissues may be classified according to the types of cells present as simple tissues and complex tissues. And here they have given the classification of animal tissues. So animal tissues has been broadly classified into 4 different types: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So epithelial tissue is further classified as squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium and glandular epithelium. Okay, and connective tissue is further classified as areolar, adipose, skeletal and fluid connective tissue. Areolar connective tissue contains tendons and ligaments, and adipose tissue contains adipocyte cells, and skeletal tissues consist of bone and cartilage, and fluid connective tissue consists of blood and lymph. And muscular tissues consist of striated muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles, and nervous tissue consists of neurons, that is nothing but nerve cells. Okay, so for your level, just you can have a overall outlook of animal tissues, just you can memorize the names alone. So we will be dealing with different types of animal tissues in your higher classes. So in this lesson, just you are going to have a central look of the classification of animal tissues alone. So here you can see the different types of animal tissues diagrams. So connective tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So connective tissue mainly connects all parts of our body. Epithelial tissue covers the outer part of all the organs and also includes our skin, which covers the whole part of our body, which is mainly meant for protection. And muscular tissue, which is made up of muscles, and nervous tissue mainly for transport of impulses or transport of signals. Okay, so you transport signals from the brain and to other parts of the body, and from other parts of the body to the brain. So these are the types of animal tissues. Okay children, so with this we'll stop in this video. We'll continue in the next video. So before winding up, I just want to have a small recall of what we have seen in this lesson, seen in this video. So we have seen the introduction about the variations occurring in different category of animals, and we have seen the different levels of organization such as cells, tissues, organs, organ system and organism. And based upon the number of cells, it is divided as unicellular and multicellular organisms, and based upon the presence of well-defined nucleus, it is classified as prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And we have seen the structure of cell and size of cell and shapes of cell and what is stem cells, and we have seen what is cell differentiation, and we have seen what is tissues. Okay, I think you are clear with what are cells and tissues. So with this we'll stop. In the next video we'll continue with organ and organ system. Okay children, so till that, keep watching this video, keep watching, keep listening. Thank you, have a nice day.